Hello. This is Ananda, co-creator and owner of Embracing Daisies, the End-Powered Path, an agency that, along with my co-founder, Donna, specializes in end-of-life care. The end-of-life care facet of our agency is one we've had to put on hold for the foreseeable future. But the other aspects of our agency deal with the death-informed life. And that phrase, the death-informed life, is the theme that runs through everything we do. And the idea behind that phrase is that accepting death as a reality, no one gets out of here alive, accepting the reality of death and allowing it to become an inspiration for how we choose to live our lives, how we choose to find and create meaning, how we choose to be mindful and self-aware, how we choose to invest in our own legacies from as early as possible until they become our story and what is left, how important that is. That is the theme, the overarching theme that runs through everything we do. I'm shooting this video in June of 2020, a year unlike any year I've ever experienced. I'm sure that 99.9% of you can say the same. A year that has, without question, clarified what is beneficial and what is crucial. And for me, quite a few of the things that I, in 2019, found to be really beneficial have now become crucial. And one of the things that has become crucial in a way that has me making this video right now is part and parcel of what we do at Embracing Daisies, which is legacy creation. In 2019, in 2016, 2017, 2018, as we begin this business, we felt so convinced and so personally invested in the idea that legacy creation is something that affects the way we live our lives, affects the way we connect with our loved ones and with our larger village, and is something that can, when taken seriously, improve the quality of our lives in ineffable ways, indescribable ways. And now here I sit, realizing it not just in my head, but in my heart and in my bones. And all of the, the modules we've written and the curriculums we've created and the work we've done with clients has become something so personally valuable that I find myself becoming a student and becoming a client myself of what was written with other people in mind. Basically, I'm working the course now. I'm doing the material now in a way that's so much more personal than creating it for others. And in doing so, I feel like it's deepening. Sometimes you can write a curriculum or you can kind of see yourself as a teacher of something. And then something will happen that allows you to become the student and allows you to relearn something in a way that isn't quite as detached. And that's what's happening. One of the things that Donna and I did was we created a book called Growing Path. And Growing Path was created with the intention of allowing our children, our loved ones, to really get to know who we were as individuals, as humans. And it was a legacy creation that went a little deeper than some of our other things. It was a bit more intimate. It was meant to be a bit more personal, a bit more, more deeply honest. In working with our clients and in developing our curriculums and modules, we talk to people and we ask questions because we wanted to learn how other people felt about death and living and dying and legacy creation. And certain things kept coming up. And one of the things that came up repeatedly was how difficult it can be to be honest with your children, how difficult it can be for children to really say they know who their parents are. Or anyone in their life, their mentors, their guides, their guardians. And so we begin to realize how much of a need there was to create an honest format in which we could convey to our children who we were, what we wish for them, what we dream for them, what we love about them, what we like about ourselves that might be of aid to them as they grow in their own individual path. One of the biggest inspirations for the book was it came into play at one of our launches for our business. For our launch, we asked some questions of the people that were there, and we would give them time to kind of think about it. And one of the questions was, if you were to find out that you had a week left to live, what would your next 24 hours look like? And two of the responses that inspired the book the most was a father, after he'd had time to think about it, a father said that he realized how much he wanted to go home and basically spend, the next week talking to his children and giving them advice and passing down wisdom that he had learned the hard way through experience. And he said that he realized that, he didn't just want to convey wisdom to them at the point they were at right then. His children were all under, none of them were teenagers yet. He realized that if he were to die in a week, there would be advice that he would want to give them on their wedding day. If they were to get married, there would be advice he would want to give them about their first crush, about their first relationship, about their job, how to interact with, how to deal with conflict, how to change a tire. All advice that, if we're lucky, we get a chance to directly convey to our children. But if we're not, it might go without ever being said. And the inspiration was, the seed was planted. Another person at the launch had lost his mother within the last month of the launch. And he said that he couldn't help, when we asked the question, he couldn't help but wish that his mother had been asked that question before she began to actively die, and how that could have changed the way they spent their last moments together, because there was so much he wanted to know about her life and about her existence and about her takes on things and the way that she saw him and herself and her experiences. And if they'd had a format or a framework with which to kind of ask those questions, then he feels like he could have learned so much more that would, he was a man, middle-aged man, and still he says, now it's only been a month and there's still moments when he thinks, what would my mom say to me? What would she advise me? And so we created a book that is exactly that. It's a format through which we can convey messages and give advice and wisdom to our children, to our loved ones. And not only advice, but also give them a window into who we are as authentically and honestly as possible. And the way that we've kind of formatted the book, which is yet to be published, we're desperately looking for a publisher right now because it feels like now is the time to get this book out there. Part of what we are looking at is, I am obviously a Black woman, a very proud Black woman. And as we were talking, especially with Black members of our community, we realized that there was a trend of secrecy, that there was a legacy of not saying in our families. And some of these reasons are justifiable and understandable. But a lot of times we talk to middle-aged people or younger who said, I don't really know my mom or dad. They don't really share a lot about their experiences unless it's to teach me something. But I don't really know who they were as individuals, or how they felt about love, or how they felt about their parents, or how they felt about dealing with heavy emotions. My parents, they would say my parents presented me with kind of they presented me with what they thought I should know, but not necessarily what I wanted to know most about them. And so as we wrote this book, we wrote it with an eye to creating as much deep, intimate, authentic openness as possible. My co-creator and I, Donna, we share a very open relationship with our children. I am an open book with my children. I want them to really know who I am. And I find myself in moments where I'm teaching them, or where I'm kind of trying to explain something to them, or imparting what I think of as wisdom to them. Sometimes I'll stop halfway through and say, you know what, that's something that I've always believed to be true, but I don't know if it is. And then I'll go back and kind of ask myself, why is this something that you've always carried as truth? And where did it come from? And I'll unpack what I'm telling them. And then come back later and say, you know what, I thought about it. And I realized that this thing that I've always held to be a truth is influenced by an experience that at the time perhaps made me defensively choose this truth to protect myself. But now I want to let go of some of the things that I created at that time to protect myself, because they no longer serve me. And they are no longer true for me. They were true and necessary then, but they're not now. And so in making this book, we've kind of tried to leave these questions open for epiphany and realization. And I'm getting a bit distracted thinking about it. Sorry, I have an incredibly short attention span, and I tend to go off on tangents. But the video I'm making right now, I want to talk about how this book and the questions in this book have, in this moment that we're in right now, changed my ability to cope with what's going on in unbelievable ways. I know that I've always kind of dealt with a greater than healthy amount of anxiety, especially since having children. I think as a Black woman growing up in America, anxiety is unfortunately a birthright. It is something that you are consistently dealing with and working through, hopefully in healthy ways. For me, I have not really... I've developed lots of healthy coping mechanisms, but there are sometimes moments, we're in one right now, where all the kind of healthy coping mechanisms you come up with are constantly challenged every time you read the news. It's a fresh wave of fear that can, really just sit on your chest. And between the coronavirus and this moment we're in regarding dealing with police brutality and the value of Black lives, it feels almost like an endless cycle of having to deal with and overcome fear. Coronavirus hit first, as far as, trending topics or current reactions. Police brutality has been an issue forever, but right now it seems to be more intensified. And so I started, when the coronavirus hit, I found myself unbelievably frightened. The word terror comes to mind. I'm in decent health, but it made me question everything, because you were hearing about healthy people being affected by this. And I definitely veered into some pretty heavy, I don't want to say paranoia, because I think there's such little that was known at the beginning that paranoia was really the only kind of normal response, because every day there was new information, and it was no masks, and then it was masks, and we were learning on our feet while the body count was piling up. But I found myself, I was working at my children's school, and so I was at home almost immediately with the children. And I found myself just panicked at the thought that this thing could happen, and that could be it. You know, you're being wheeled back, and you don't get to say goodbye, and nobody's coming with you. And all of this, all of the ways that I've, for the past however many years, been focusing through my job, through this agency on legacy creation, all of a sudden, none of it was enough, and I wasn't ready. And so one of the only things that really, maybe the only thing that worked as a perfect coping mechanism was to begin to make the videos and to fill out the book that we had created myself. And it's been nothing short of phenomenal. Some of the questions in the book became more relevant than ever. One of the questions that really brought out a lot of emotion in me was what I want you to know that I love about you. And I found myself at 3 a.m. just staying up making video after video based on this book, from the book itself, for my children. And one of the articles on the news that really had a tremendous effect on me was an article where they were saying, a nurse was writing it, and she was saying that one of the hardest parts of her job was wheeling people back, and by their symptoms, knowing that this was the last time they were going to see their family, and listening to them shout out instructions between gasps for air, instructions ranging from tell this person I love them, tell them that they're my everything, to please remember to tell my husband that he has to pay this bill. That hit me like a ton of bricks when I read that. I'm going to get emotional right now talking about it, but that kind of panic, just it felt too much at the moment, and I thought, I have to do something now. I don't want that to be my experience, being wheeled down and shouting out these desperate things. And I thought, what if we all had a chance to say those things that you might say being wheeled away for the last time? What if we had a chance to say those things now? And the book provided that for me. And so in doing these videos, if I'd done these videos, and I had actually done some of these questions before, as we were writing the book, Donna and I made some of these videos, but the way that it changed the message for me, the way that 2020 has changed what I want to say, is really valuable. Because I'm not saying these things imagining that they'll come in handy someday. I'm saying these things imagining that they could come in handy now, right now. And when I was finished making these videos, and I've only just started, I only have about 15 videos, and the book is, over 100 questions and videos. Every time I push stop, the way that my body and the feeling inside of me had gone to heart racing, anxious, fear, consumed with just desperate, terror, the way that I had gone from feeling that way before I shot the video to pushing stop and thinking, there is something that they will now know. There is something that they will have forever that is from my heart, and from everything I am. This is a gift. And so every video felt like, I can't even describe the feeling. I run out of words, but when I push stop on every video, the healing that had taken place, the idea that if we all survive this just fine, if 2021 is a year where we can actually somehow look back and go, that was a doozy, but it's all better now. If by chance that happens, these videos that I made, the videos from this book, will only serve to improve the quality of my relationship with my children, the quality of my interactions with them, the quality of my relationships with myself. They will affect the way I choose to live my life. They will affect my levels of mindfulness, my levels of attention paying, my levels of self-awareness, because I'm making these videos in a moment where the possibility that they become not just beneficial but crucial is vibrating. It's really heavy. So this video is running long, but I'm making this video mainly for myself, but I don't know if I'll post it or not, but I'm making this video because I want to share this. I struggle to make it because it sounds like I'm kind of promoting a book, which I am unashamedly. But I struggle with selling things. You can ask my co-creator. It's a constant struggle for her that I am seemingly incapable of selling myself or selling things. I just kind of want to hang out and have conversations. But I'm not doing that right now. Right now I'm saying that this book has the potential to change the way you feel about what's happening right now. And right now, if you are a parent, if you are Black, if you are a person of color, if you are somebody who loves other people, if you are someone who has important relationships, if you have relationships that matter a lot to you, now is a really good time to think about creating legacy. Creating a legacy that is capable of changing the lives of your loved ones and letting your loved ones know who you are, how much you love them, what your dreams were, how you dream for them, what life you dream for them. Now is the time to do that. And this book that we've written has given me, and hopefully could give you, a framework with which to share your heart song and to share your last wishes that, knock wood, aren't your last wishes, but are just things that need to be said. We're going to be making some more videos on this book, which I really am desperate to get published because it feels like such an important time. But now's the time to say the unsaid. Now is the time. It's always been the time. But now feels like the time more than the time has ever felt like the time. And so yeah, that's the video I'm going to shoot today. And I'm going to make some more videos dealing with the individual questions that I asked and answered for my children. But that's it for today. I just wanted to get that off my chest and kind of share that right now. I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope that you're healthy. I hope this finds you healthy and well and whole as possible, as unafraid as possible. But if you are, it's okay. I'm afraid too. And I'm hoping that we can connect in ways that allow us to minimize that fear, to embrace that fear in ways that contribute to our coping with it well, and creating meaning from that fear that lasts longer than however long our lives will last. Now is a moment to throw the stone and understand that the ripples can keep going and going and going. But this video is me throwing a stone and encouraging you to throw a stone as well. And to reach out, contact us, because I think we have a really good framework for throwing those stones and creating those ripples. That's it for me today. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for connecting and thanks for listening with me.